Hello again. It is Wing Nation presented by Sage Fruit. Talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week, and we are so glad that you have joined us. I'm Steve Post in the Concord, North Carolina studios, joining us from the Mifflintown, Pennsylvania Lethal Chassis Studios, the woman from Mifflintown. There's a man from Mifflintown. Why can't there be a woman from Mifflintown? Ashley Stremme. Hello, Ashley. How are you?
Oh, Steve, it's good to be back in Pennsylvania, Mifflintown precisely. But we made a trip to the Midwest, did some racing. That was mediocre, but we took our kid with us, and that was an absolute blast.
Some of the pictures, you decided to go social media on us this year or this weekend. I'm grateful that you did. Your Instagram really, really cool. Traveling with a youngster is a total different world for David and Ashley Stremme, isn't it?
It sure is, especially when your husband doesn't like to stop except for fuels.
Oh
it made it real interesting from time to time.
Can you use steel to lure David into a stop, though? He'll say no to you, I know that. But is steel good bargaining chip with that? Is that good for you?
Yes, but it still has to be a pretty epic situation for it to happen.
That is cool. That is good stuff. Well, I really enjoyed it, that's for sure. Really, really neat to see. And happy Mother's Day, belated Mother's Day to you as well. Neat stuff. Speaking of neat stuff, last summer, Williams Grove, they had the Summer Nationals, and Brad Sweet, 53rd attempt at Williams Grove, and he finally won. Ashley, he didn't wait 53 more, that's for sure. He picked up the win on Friday night. Boy, I'll tell you what, Brad's a pro, and man, when he gets the place sorted out, he can wheel a race car, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I know this one has been on his pegboard for quite some time, so it's cool that he finally gets to check mark that box, and beating somebody like Brent Marks at Williams Grove is a huge deal as well.
No doubt about it. So, yeah, it was amazing. 53 starts between his up to his first win. It was only his third start from his worst win to his second win. So Brad Sweet, the big cat. And by the way, he has moved into the point lead for the World of Outlaws. Wonder what's wrong with him. Wonder what's the matter with him, Ashley? Where'd he go? Hey, we're going to come back. We're going to talk to another World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car driver, Spencer Bayston. He joins us coming up here on Wing Nation. The Outlaws are headed back to the Pacific Northwest. Join us for 3 action-packed nights of racing August 31st, September 1st and 2nd at Skagit Speedway when the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars return for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals. Kickoff for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals begins Wednesday, August 30th with a pre-race party, live band, Sage Fruit apple giveaways, and more. Then catch Donnie Schatz and the rest of the World of Outlaws as they take on Washington's best sprint car drivers Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. Details at SkagitSpeedway.com. Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit, and let's get right to the Sage Fruit Hotline. Joining us initially from Indiana, but up in the state of Pennsylvania, hanging out for a little time now. Spencer Bayston joins us. Hello, Spencer. How are you?
I'm doing great. Spent a little bit of time this week at the shop here in Pennsylvania. The guys are pretty much all ready to go, so just doing some cleaning and some fine tunings, and we'll be ready to hit the road again this weekend.
Okay, we'll talk all about this racing stuff, but I saw a photo that Barry and Natalie Jackson, of course, Barry's your team manager, they did a little cooking for you and the crew while you guys were up there in Pennsylvania. Is Barry do a lot of cooking? Was it all Natalie? How was that?
Yeah, it was a team effort. He's got the grill going. He's got a Traeger that he's been enjoying lately, so we've been doing some cooking on that and just enjoying the nice summer weather now. It's starting to warm up, and it's been pretty nice here the last handful of days, besides Saturday night, of course. But, yeah, we've had some pretty good meals here lately. Yesterday, he had an 8-hour brisket that we had for dinner. It was really good.
My God.
Nice. Now, that being said, obviously it's home for Barry, not so much for you, but is it nice to get back to the shop? Do you not care one way or another? I'm sure the guys are happy to be out of a hotel parking lot or wherever you guys stop along the way, but does it matter to you at all?
I enjoy being out here. I just enjoy being at the shop. There's not really a lot of time that we get to spend here. I don't, with traveling, I don't always get to spend the weeks with the guys. So to spend a week with them, hang out in the shop, whether I'm just there for moral support or actually helping with, getting things cleaned up. I think it's good just to, spend time with your guys, build some chemistry, eat dinner together, hang out. So hopefully we can go. I'm trying to find a night or an afternoon to go play some golf this week with them, and we can go have some fun. So just a little bit of R&R.
Spencer, getting a chance to hang out with the guys and coming back for the second season with CJB Racing and Barry and everybody, how important is that to have that chemistry, to have that consistency over the course of a longer period?
I think it's an essential for sure. I mean, you see the top teams, Brad Sweet, JJR is getting to this point now with Carson. Gravel is kind of hitting his stride with his group. I think longevity is key, and I think the guys like Donnie Schatz and Ricky Warner that can build a program together over a span of multiple years, I think the success will show through. I think time is definitely valuable, and spending time with guys and building relationships and chemistry with them to know how each other works and be able to pick each other up when they get down, I think is an essential for sure. So that's what we're trying to do this second year here on the Outlaw Tour is I feel like we've made some really good improvements, and I feel better myself. I feel like I'm getting a little bit more comfortable and confident with some of the things that I was struggling with last year. And I think, every year moving forward, it'll just keep getting better and better. And hopefully at some point here, we'll be contending for a Board of Outlaw Championship.
So when we talked to you last year, we joked around about Barry and his intensity, if you will. And you actually said that you enjoyed it, the fact that he was so dug in deep into what he does with racing. Is that still the same? Has that changed? Have you begun to better understand Barry and how intense he is? Is there a communication that's happening that didn't necessarily happen last year?
I felt like last year really went pretty well. So it wasn't like, we had significant changes we had to make. I mean, we just kind of had to pick up right where we left off at the end of last year. And I feel like we've done that. I feel like our communication has been good. We've made the addition of Troy Welty as well to our program. And he's been a great addition to kind of counter help with Barry a little bit and running the program and getting the car where it needs to be every night, along with aiding our two young guys, Aiden Lloyd and Eric Coyle, and kind of getting them up to speed as well. So there's so much focus and attention that has to go into the car itself and the as the crew chief. So Troy's done a good job at kind of bridging that gap a little bit and helping. And I feel like we've all worked well together with, Barry's kind of coaching ways and mentality. Communication is a really big part of that. So he's able to kind of communicate on the things that are most important. And that's obviously the car's performance, the engine's performance. So I feel like everyone's done a really good job with that. And I feel like, as I said just now, with time that is spent together with Barry and Troy, Eric and Aiden, things are moving more efficiently, smoother, and which obviously helps on my end tremendously.
I am sure that is certainly the case. You talk about smoother. The start of this season was awkward. You go to Volusia, then there's a few weeks off. You go to then you don't race, and then you don't race, and then you do race, and then you don't race. And set aside Saturday night at Williams Grove, there has been a little bit of rhythm to it. How important is that for you, and how nice is that for you to kind of get into the rhythm of not getting rained out, it seems like, every other day?
Yeah, it's everything. I mean, we're racers, so we want to race. Yeah. We don't like sitting around. And personally, for myself, having just a whole weekend off because of a rain out or cancellation, I think can affect you a little bit, because that's a whole extra 7-8 days that you're sitting around. And the more you race, the more fresh you are. And I feel like the better I perform because, hot laps, that's what, 2, 3, 4 laps sometimes, and then you're straight into qualifying. And if you're at all rusty, a little behind, not mentally sharp, your whole night can be set off, deep in the field and you're just struggling to recover from there. So getting to race more is definitely valuable. It's definitely helpful for myself, and our guys, that's all they do is they race. So when we sit around, you're not occupied with other activities. You're just simply waiting for the next race. So rainouts and cancellations are definitely not our friend.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's been a weird season, but good news is we're getting more and more. Spencer, hang in there. Everyone else stick around. More with Spencer Bayston in just a moment. The Outlaws are headed back to the Pacific Northwest. Join us for 3 action-packed nights of racing August 31st, September 1st and 2nd at Skagit Speedway when the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars return for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals. Kickoff for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals begins Wednesday, August 30th with a pre-race party, live band, Sage Fruit apple giveaways, and more. Then catch Donnie Schatz and the rest of the World of Outlaws as they take on Washington's best sprint car drivers Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. Details at SkagitSpeedway.com. Welcome back. It is Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Ashley Stremme and Steve Post having a great time chatting on the Sage Fruit hotline with Spencer Bayston. Spencer, we talked a lot about sprint car racing in the first segment. We're going to go off racetrack, and I'm just going to roll up my sleeves. We might get me in trouble. We might get you in trouble. We might not get in trouble. But over the off season, you got engaged to Audrey, okay? Audrey Sheets, your longtime girlfriend. You are now fiance. How did you do that? What was the move? What was the game plan with the engagement there on, I guess it was New Year's Eve, it seemed like?
Yeah, so we kind of did it a little bit different. I've had some ideas over the span of last year. Audrey's the youngest of 3 sisters. Her oldest sister is married and just had a baby this past year, and Joni, the middle sister, just got engaged mid last summer. So it's kind of like I've kind of had it planned for a while, but we were just kind of waiting to let kind of things proceed with Joni and Brock and let their engagement go for a little bit. But then also, Audrey and I living in Indiana. She's from Kansas. Her whole family's in Kansas. I wanted to somehow figure out how to do it kind of privately, but then be able to see, family kind of immediately after. So it was built around the holidays. We announced it or posted, I guess, New Year's time, but it actually had happened Christmas Eve. So we had kind of gone a few days, just showing our family and kind of sharing that time with them before anyone else knew. So it was definitely very intimate and special, and we're excited for the future.
I love it. I feel like we've had a lot to do, or have been involved with several drivers' weddings. David Gravel was at the post office one day for an interview, picking up stamps. We helped him pick out the stamps for his wedding invitations. That being said, are you guys planning for an off season? Are you thinking middle of the season? Are you doing it this year? Are you waiting 5 years? I know this is a sprint car show, but now it's just changed.
Yeah, right. Audrey will be thrilled that we're talking about this instead of sprint cars. But no, we're planning end of 2024, in between, in the off season time, working on probably a destination wedding, a little bit smaller, just kind of family and close friends. So like I said, with her being from Kansas, my family in Indiana, can't really pick one or the other. So why don't we all jump in a plane and go somewhere nice and warm during the winter? So those details are still being finalized, but into 2024, Joni and Brock get married this July. So let them have this year, give Alan, Audrey's dad, a little bit of a break on the pocketbook, and then we'll go for into next year.
Wise man right there, wise man. Okay, I have one more question here before we get out of this. We don't want to get on the bad side here, but is there Dairy Queen involved in any of this at all? Because she apparently is a Dairy Queen fanatic. Is that accurate?
There better be Dairy Queen at this wedding, because her mom owns Dairy Queen franchise in Belleville, Kansas. Oh. And it's a popular place because there really isn't, that's one of the only drive-through places, in like a probably 10-15 mile radius. So that town, they live off of Dairy Queen. She opens like 5 or 6 in the morning, serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner. and it's a poppin' place. So Dairy Queen's been in their family for a long time, and that's it's a perfect match for me because I love my ice cream.
That's awesome. That is so cool. I mean, I could go on for days about this, but I guess we need to get back to sprint car racing. Talking about all of this, being in Pennsylvania, you've done some stuff with Milton Hershey. They had kids out to the track last year. What's it been like working with Milton Hershey and having them come on board with you guys in the World of Outlaws this season?
It's been special. It's been kind of cool because it's, somewhat in the backyard of our team. Barry and his, he had a playground business before he was heavy into the racing stuff, and actually did a little bit of work at Milton Hershey. So he's, their family, of course, is very aware of the Milton Hershey School and what Hershey PA is all about. And so what we're able to do with the sprint cars and with World of Outlaws is, express a little bit of a different avenue for those kids that were lost at some point, but now being at Milton Hershey School are in a great program that propels them and gives them the tools and the skills they need to someday be successful in life. And the sprint car stuff and the career that we're in, or the industry that we're in, is something completely different, but is obviously very exciting to us. So some of their automotive kids in those classes were very invested and got to see kind of what we're all about and what we do. So just express a little bit of motivation and excitement to their days. And they're all in a position, all those kids are in a position where they're trying to find who they are going to be someday. And anything you can help with that, and obviously join up with Milton Hershey and try to provide a little bit of excitement and a little bit extra pep in their step is definitely cool. And it's been a lot of fun being part of that.
Really is a neat program. Now, this year's was held at the arena there, the stadium there. They used to race around in that stadium. Could you imagine racing in that stadium, Spencer?
I saw some pictures and I think even like a little video clip of it, and it looked pretty unique, but man, it sounds like they packed the place. It was like 11,000 people they had there at that first race. So it's be a really, really cool event to experience at that time, I'm sure. So it was kind of cool. It was pretty historic, and they had a really cool brochure or pamphlet that had a lot of history about the place, about the race itself. And so just being there on the grounds was definitely cool.
Neat stuff, that's for sure. So we've covered chocolate, we've covered ice cream, and we've covered brisket. I think this has been a great sprint car interview. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Spencer, we wish you the best as you roll into Attica and Sharon this weekend and on throughout. I'm sure we'll catch up with you at the racetrack along the way, but thanks for joining us here this time on the Wing Nation.
Thank you, guys.
There we go. Spencer Bayston joining us on the Sage Fruit. Now we've got apples, the Sage Fruit Hop Line, food talk, and more sprint car talk coming up. Stay with us. The Outlaws are headed back to the Pacific Northwest. Join us for 3 action-packed nights of racing August 31st, September 1st and 2nd at Skagit Speedway when the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars return for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals. Kickoff for the Sage Fruit Skagit Nationals begins Wednesday, August 30th with a pre-race party, live band, Sage Fruit apple giveaways, and more. Then catch Johnny Schatz and the rest of the World of Outlaws as they take on Washington's best sprint car drivers Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights. Details at SkagitSpeedway.com. Welcome back to Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit. Talking sprint car racing and talking food. Boy, we covered a lot of food territory with Spencer Bayston. That's never a bad thing, Ashley. Food and racing goes together very, very well.
It's true. And then throw in wedding stuff for me. I enjoy that just as much. It's cool to get to know these guys. We know what they do on the track, but to know their personal life is even more fun.
Really, truly is. Neat stuff, and we certainly wish Spencer the best in all of the endeavors that he has going on in his busy, busy life. Ashley, speaking of busy life, we talked a little bit about your weekend with Steele and David and traveling. I had a really interesting weekend. It was graduation weekend for my daughter from college, and it was a spectacular weekend, but I found myself home Saturday night, just kind of like, okay, just chilling, having a cold frosty one, wonder what's on Dirt Vision. Sharon Speedway, season opener was on Dirt Vision, and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're getting ready to go with the A-Main And this is just something that I think so many of us take for granted. The Blaney family. Okay, Father Lou Blaney, then Dave Blaney, Dale Blaney, all three in the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Ryan Blaney, Dave's son, is a NASCAR Cup Series driver. Ashley, and he won on Saturday night at Sharon Speedway, but the Blaney family is truly a racing, we're so rich to have the Blaney family in motorsports.
It's so true. I mean, you talk to the, what would they be? The kids, I guess it is, Dave and Dale's kids. They all have their grandfathers, either the race car or the number tattooed somewhere on their body of just the patriarch that this family has left and is still evolving as Dave picks up his win this past weekend. It's really cool. Dave, a 1995 World of Outlaws champion, a 1984 USAC Silver Crown champion. Like, the list is forever deep in racing, just in general. It
really is. Big wins, the Knoxville Nationals, the Kings Royal, the Chili Bowl, that's all. You know, the Gold Cup, that's all. I mean, that's all he's done. Had a long and storied ride in NASCAR, 473. When you survive 17 years in the NASCAR Cup garage, and you do it, and unfortunately for Dave, he never got a win, but when you survive 17 years in that garage area, because that is a brutal place to do business, that speaks well for you as a person. And everyone to this day loves Dave Blaney. I think back also, and he won that race on Saturday night. I could not believe it. It was up on the wall, too, Ashley. Not a traditional what we would expect to see Dave Blaney, up on the wall, wheeling up there, and let it flag, dominated, although A.J. Fleck was getting good at the end, came on strong. But I think back a couple years ago when the World of Outlaws rolled in there, and Dave took him to task with his 95th career win. And by the way, Saturday night, the World of Outlaws roll in there, and I think Dave, he's no longer laying in the weeds, because when you roll into there, he can't lay in the weeds anymore. The 60-year-old man could just put a whooping on him Saturday night. But it was so neat to see Dave Blaney in victory lane, Ashley. It just that never gets old.
It doesn't. And it'll be awesome to see him back out there with the World of Outlaws this weekend. You know, it's just, if he picks up the win this time, it's going to be huge, and I think it'd be monumental in the sprint car world as well. Yeah,
no doubt. It is fun, that's for sure. Speaking of fun, the Peter Murphy Classic was out at Hanford Speedway in California. Peter, a great Australian racer, one of the natives of Australia that came over. He got injured over here in a bad crash, and he rolled up his sleeves and said, okay, driving career is over, promoting career begin, and he is there's a bunch of people on the West Coast building 410 sprint car racing, but I am telling you, he is just absolutely rolling. Now, Corey Day swept the beginning of the weekend, Ashley. He won the 410 and 360 races on Friday night, and he won the 360 race on Saturday night, but when it came time for the big money on Saturday night, it was one of our buddies.
Yes, and he is no stranger to victory lane these last couple of years. Dominic Scelzi, $11,000 the richer after picking up the Peter Murphy Classic win.
No doubt. So good stuff out there on the West Coast. Great stuff there. Dominic Scelzi and James McFadden actually talked him into doing a shoey, drinking a beer out of his shoe. Yeah, exactly. Good luck with that, that's for sure. Coming up this weekend, World of Outlaws are at Attica and Sharon. All-Stars are in upstate New York at Dundee Fonda Weedsport. We've got the King of the West out at Petaluma and IRA. They're in Wisconsin at Plymouth Dirt Track and Angel Park Speedway. So great stuff, that's for sure. We do appreciate Spencer Bayston for joining us, but more important than all of that, thank you for joining us here this time on Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit.